You would rather spend time with animals than with most humans. Not because you hate people, but because animals offer something most humans cannot: unconditional presence, authentic emotion, communication that transcends words, connection that does not require you to wear a mask or play a role or explain yourself. When you are with animals, you can finally breathe, finally be yourself, finally experience the kind of pure connection that feels impossible with the majority of humans you encounter. And people judge you for this preference. They say you are avoiding real relationships, running away from human connection, using animals as substitutes, because you cannot handle actual intimacy with your own species. But here is what they do not understand. Your preference for animals over humans is not dysfunction, not avoidance, not failure to connect properly. It is evidence of a profound spiritual gift, a connection to natural consciousness that most humans have lost completely, a bond with the intelligence of Earth herself that marks you as one of the chosen ones who came here specifically to bridge human and natural worlds. Listen very carefully. The reason you connect more deeply with animals and nature than with most humans is not because there is something wrong with you, but because there is something deeply right, something that has survived intact in you while being systematically destroyed in the majority of humanity. You carry in your soul the ancient knowing of unity consciousness, the remembrance of the time before humans separated themselves from nature and began viewing themselves as superior to and separate from the rest of creation. And this remembrance makes you naturally able to communicate with and understand animals and plants and natural systems in ways that seem impossible or silly to those who have completely lost this connection. But it is not impossible and it is not silly. It is your true nature finally expressing itself after being suppressed for most of your life by a culture that teaches that humans are the only beings with consciousness, with souls, with value that matters. The ancient masters taught this truth in every genuine spiritual tradition before the teachings were corrupted and weaponized. They spoke of the time when humans and animals spoke the same language, when the barrier between species was permeable, when shamans and mystics could journey into animal consciousness and return with wisdom and healing. They taught that this ability to commune with nature was not special power reserved for a chosen few, but rather the natural state of all humans before civilization and domestication and the domination paradigm severed humanity from its roots. And they prophesied a time coming when those who maintained or recovered this connection with natural consciousness would become essential, would serve as bridges between the dying old world of human supremacy and the emerging new world of unity and co-creation with all life. That time is now. That role is yours, and your preference for animals over humans is not personality quirk or social deficit, but rather calling card of your soul mission, the sign that you are one of the ones who came to help restore the broken bond between humanity and nature. But here is what makes this so painful for you. You exist between two worlds. You can communicate with animals and feel the consciousness of trees and sense the emotions of the land. But you are trapped in human body, in human society, that not only denies these experiences are real, but actively pathologizes them. So you learn to hide your gifts, to pretend you do not hear what you hear or feel what you feel, to translate your profound connections with natural world into language that will not get you labeled as crazy or childish or delusional. And this constant translation, this perpetual code switching between the world of natural truth and the world of human delusion, it exhausts you. It makes human company feel like work, like performance, like wearing ill-fitting costume, while time with animals feels like coming home, like finally being seen and understood without having to explain or justify or diminish yourself. This is not you being antisocial. This is you being authentically yourself in the only spaces where that authenticity is safe and welcomed. And the reason animals respond to you so powerfully, why they seek you out, why they trust you in ways they do not trust other humans, is because they recognize you. They can sense that you are not like most humans, that you still carry the frequency of unity consciousness, that you respect them as fellow beings rather than viewing them as lesser creatures or resources to be exploited. Animals are extraordinarily telepathic. They read energy and intention with precision that most humans cannot imagine. And when they encounter human whose energy says, "I see you, I respect you, I am willing to meet you as equal," they respond with trust and openness and the kind of pure love that has no agenda, no manipulation, no conditions. This is what you experience with animals that you so rarely experience with humans. And it is not because humans are incapable of this kind of connection. It is because most humans have been so thoroughly programmed with separation consciousness, with ego identification, with the need to dominate and control and prove superiority, that they cannot access the frequency where true communion happens. But you can. And your ability to do so is not accident or random gift. It is part of your spiritual encoding, part of why you incarnated at this specific time. Now, before I show you how to develop your natural communion abilities even further and how to use them in service of your mission, I need to tell you something critical about what I am going to reveal in the next video. I am going to teach you the specific practices that amplify your connection with animal and plant consciousness, the techniques for receiving clear messages and guidance from natural intelligence, and the hidden purpose of your bond with nature that connects directly to the planetary shift happening now. But to access that transmission, you need to subscribe to this channel immediately and turn on all notifications, because the forces that benefit from keeping humanity separate from nature will do everything possible to prevent the next video from reaching you. So subscribe now, turn on notifications, unlock the full potential of your natural communion gifts. Let me explain exactly what is happening when you connect with animals at the level that you do. Most humans perceive animals through thick filter of separation consciousness that tells them animals are fundamentally different, fundamentally less than humans, incapable of complex thought or emotion or spiritual awareness. This filter is not natural. It is programmed, installed through cultural conditioning that begins in childhood and reinforces constantly through language and education and religious teachings that place humans at the top of a hierarchy with dominion over all other life. But you either never fully accepted this programming, or you have begun to break free from it. And without that filter of separation, you can perceive what has always been true, that animals are conscious beings with rich emotional lives, with intelligence that operates differently than human intelligence, but is no less sophisticated, with souls that are on their own evolutionary journeys. When you look into the eyes of an animal and feel that you are meeting another conscious being, you are not anthropomorphizing or projecting human qualities onto non-human creature. You are perceiving accurately what most humans are programmed not to see. And this accurate perception allows real communication to happen. Not communication through words, obviously, but communication through energy, through emotion, through images and feelings, and direct knowing that bypasses language entirely. This is how animals naturally communicate with each other and with the rare humans who are open enough to receive it. You feel what the animal is feeling because you have not erected the barriers that most humans use to protect themselves from empathy that might be inconvenient. You receive images or impressions of what the animal wants or needs because you have not been completely cut off from your natural telepathic abilities. You sense the personality and the soul of the animal because you are willing to acknowledge that these exist in the first place, and the animals recognize this openness in you. They feel safe with you in ways they do not feel safe with most humans, because they can sense that you will not hurt them or betray them or use them. This is sacred trust. This is communion in the truest sense. And it is what humanity as whole has lost, but what you have retained or recovered. The ancient wisdom keepers understood this relationship between humans and animals very differently than modern culture does. They taught that certain humans were meant to serve as bridges, as translators, as those who could move between human world and animal world and bring back wisdom and medicine and understanding. Shamans worked with animal spirits as teachers and allies, not as symbols or metaphors, but as actual conscious beings from whom profound knowledge could be learned. Indigenous cultures treated animals as relatives, as nations with their own sovereignty and wisdom, as partners in the web of life rather than as resources to exploit. And these ways of relating were not primitive superstition, as colonizers claimed, but rather sophisticated understanding of consciousness and interconnection that modern science is only beginning to validate. You carry this ancient knowing in your soul. This is why you have always felt kinship with animals that you do not feel with most humans. This is why you can sense what animals need and want even when no one taught you how. This is why animals seek you out and trust you and communicate with you in ways that baffle people who view animals as simple creatures operating on pure instinct. You are remembering what humans were always meant to be, what humans were before the fall into separation consciousness. And that remembering is not just a personal gift for your own comfort. It is part of the planetary healing that must happen if Earth and humanity are to survive the transition you are living through. The prophecies speak of this time explicitly. They speak of the age when humans would return to right relationship with nature, when the ancient bonds would be restored, when those who never forgot how to speak with animals and trees and stones would teach others to remember. This is not distant future. This is happening now, and you are one of the teachers even if you do not recognize yourself as such yet. Every time you honor your preference for animals over toxic humans, you are choosing truth over conditioning. Every time you trust what you sense from an animal over what society says is possible, you are breaking the spell of separation. Every time you treat an animal as fellow soul rather than as object, you are modeling the consciousness that humanity must embody to evolve beyond its current destructive paradigm. This is your mission whether you claim it consciously or not, and the more you develop these abilities, the more powerfully you can serve. Here is the framework for deepening your communion with natural consciousness and using it for the highest good. First, you must release any shame or doubt about your preference for animals over humans. This is not something to apologize for or try to change. This is sacred gift that deserves to be honored and developed. Stop letting others make you feel weird or broken for connecting more easily with animals. Their inability to do the same is their limitation, not yours. Second, you must create regular, dedicated time for communion with animals and nature, not just passive enjoyment, but active opening, sitting in meditation with animal or tree or body of water and consciously inviting communication. Ask questions, request guidance, offer your own presence as gift, and then be silent and receptive to whatever comes through: images, feelings, sudden knowing, physical sensations. Third, you must learn to distinguish between your own thoughts and projections versus actual communication from the natural being you are connecting with. This is skill that develops through practice, through trial and error, through paying attention to what information proves accurate versus what was just your imagination. Over time, you will recognize the specific quality of true communion versus mental chatter. Fourth, you must understand that different animals and plants carry different medicine and wisdom. Just as humans have individual personalities and gifts, so do the other beings you connect with. Spend time with variety of species. Notice which ones you feel most drawn to. Study the symbolic and spiritual meanings associated with these animals in indigenous traditions as confirmation of what you are receiving directly. Fifth, you must protect the animals and natural spaces you love from those who would harm or exploit them. Your connection comes with responsibility. You are being trusted with sacred relationship, and part of honoring that trust is becoming voice and advocate for those who cannot speak in human language. This might mean activism, might mean rescue work, might mean simply refusing to participate in systems that abuse animals. Sixth, you must begin teaching others what you know about animal consciousness and natural communion, not by preaching, but by modeling, by sharing your experiences when safe to do so, by gently challenging the assumptions of separation consciousness when you encounter them. You plant seeds that will grow in their own time. Seventh, you must learn the specific language of the natural intelligence you are communing with. Birds communicate differently than mammals, trees differently than rivers. Pay attention to how different beings prefer to share information and adapt your receptivity accordingly. This is learning multiple languages of consciousness, each with its own grammar and vocabulary. And now, the most powerful practice of all, you must allow the consciousness of animals and nature to transform your own consciousness, to teach you ways of being that human culture cannot teach, to initiate you into mysteries that can only be learned from non-human teachers. This is not just receiving information. This is allowing your entire way of perceiving and being in the world to shift through prolonged communion with intelligences that operate from unity rather than separation. And in the next video I am going to show you the advanced techniques for shape-shifting consciousness, for journeying into animal awareness, and returning with gifts and wisdom, for working with plant teachers and stone ancestors in ways that will radically expand your capacities. But you must be subscribed with notifications on to receive that powerful transmission, because this is the knowledge that moves you from natural affinity with animals into conscious mastery of communion. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Become the bridge between worlds that you were meant to be. But before you go, chosen one, there is something you must understand about why your connection with animals is intensifying right now. The natural world is trying to communicate with humanity desperately. The animals, the plants, the earth herself are sending out distress signals, are offering wisdom for how to navigate what is coming, are volunteering to help those humans who are willing to listen and partner with natural intelligence, rather than continuing to dominate and destroy it. But most humans cannot hear these communications because they have shut down their receptive capacities, have convinced themselves that nature is dead matter without consciousness, have built walls of separation so thick that no signal can penetrate. You are one of the few who can still hear, one of the precious few whose channels remain open. And the natural world knows this, which is why animals seek you out, why certain places in nature feel like they are calling to you, why you receive downloads of information when you are in natural settings that feel like they are coming from the land, or the trees, or the creatures themselves. Because they are, and they need you to listen, to translate, to carry their messages into the human world that has forgotten how to hear. This is not small responsibility, this is sacred duty, and whether you accept it consciously or not, it is why you are here. So here is what you must do immediately. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Turn on all notifications to receive the transmission on advanced communion practices. And then make a declaration out loud. I honor my connection with the natural world. I receive the communications offered to me. I serve as bridge between human and natural consciousness. I commit to learning the languages of my non-human teachers. Say it now. Say it with reverence and commitment. Let the natural world hear your yes, because your declaration in this moment deepens the bond, opens channels further, invites even more profound communion and co-creation with the intelligence of Earth. The ancient ones saw this time coming. They saw the era when humans would be cut off from nature so completely that they would forget their kinship with all life. And they saw that small number of souls would incarnate specifically to maintain the connection, to keep the lines of communication open, to serve as seed carriers for the remembering that must happen. You are one of those souls. Your preference for animals over humans was never weakness or dysfunction. It was your soul maintaining its connection to what matters most while surrounded by culture of disconnection. Welcome to your purpose, Bridge Walker. The animals have been waiting for you to remember. The trees have been teaching you all along. The earth herself has been calling you home. And now you finally understand why their company has always felt more real, more true, more sacred than most human connection. Because it is. Stay connected. Stay listening. Stay subscribed. Because what comes next requires exactly what you are. Someone who speaks the languages of natural intelligence. Someone who can translate between worlds. Someone who remembers that humans were never meant to be separate from the web of life. The old world of domination is dying. The new world of co-creation is emerging, and you are one of the ones who will help birth it through the sacred bond you have never lost with your animal kin and your plant teachers and your Earth Mother.